The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Lang. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are reviewing the Rogue cards in In Too Deep, the first Mythos pack in the Innsmouth Conspiracy cycle. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Just a quick reminder of the rating system here on The Whisper in Darkness. The cards that we consider to be the best of the best get an Elder Sign, while the worst of the worst get a Tentacle, and all the cards in between get a +1, 0, or Elder Thing. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these player card reviews. If you'd like to support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Without further ado, let's get started. The first rogue card in the pack is Breaking and Entering. It is a 2-cost event with intellect and agility skill icons. It has the trick trait and the action Investigate. Add your agility value to your skill value for this investigation. If you succeed by 2 or more, you may automatically evade an enemy at this location. This action does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Now, this card is quite similar to the Seeker card, Archaic Glyphs Prophecy Foretold. The very similar effects between the two cards. I really like this card. You can play it in combination with Trish Scarborough to either discover an additional clue at your location or evade 2 enemies. You can also play it in combination with Rita to damage an enemy or move to a connecting location after you play it. And then it synergizes with the Succeed by 2 mechanic as well. So if you play this in a deck like Winifred, you can, if you commit a couple cards to the skill test, you get to draw a card, and then if you succeed by 2, you can trigger pickpocketing because you're getting that evade, as well as the lucky cigarette case to draw a card or gain to gain resources. So really like this card.
Yeah, man, you said it. This is a great card. Specifically in Rita, this is probably her best way to reliably investigate. Since she has such a low intellect, being able to add her 5 agility value to an investigate is very good. And if you get a free damage or a free move out of it, that's also just, excellent as well. Yeah, this is a great combo card in general, like you said, with things like pickpocketing or anything that interacts with evading enemies or investigating.
Yeah, these cards that add your agility skill value to your skill value during investigations are always great. I mean, we've seen lock picks before this one that does something similar, and it really powers those Succeed by 2 decks because you can play this and you're going to reliably succeed by 2 even if you don't have skills to commit to the test, which is always nice. I am going to give this card a +1.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. It is a little slow. It does cost you 2 resources, a card, and an action, but what you get out of it is usually very worth it. And the fact that this is really useful in the investigators that can take it, I think this card will see a lot of play.
Yeah, it's it's quite versatile in Trish because she does have the option of grabbing that additional clue or evading 2 enemies, one with her ability and one with this, which could really help out in multiplayer. I know in our Iron Man through the Circle Undone, Trish was often responsible for tanking a lot of enemies, and so this would come in handy there. And then Rita, she only has 2 intellect, I believe, to begin with, so this lets her investigate with a 7, which if you can't grab clues with a 7, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, to say the least.
The second rogue card in the pack is Skeptic. It is a skill that costs 1 experience point. It has a wild skill icon in the practice trait. During this skill test, treat the modifier of each bless and each curse token as a +1 instead of its normal modifier. What do you think of this one, Nate?
I'm kind of mixed on this card overall. Obviously, it's only good if you're playing Bless and Curse tokens. Barring that, it's just a single wild icon. It does have the practice trait, so it does interact with cards like Practice Makes Perfect, as well as Amanda Sharp. Um, but I think barring, barring the fact that you're gonna be loading up the bag with a bunch of Curse and Bless tokens, I I want to like this card, but I think you're gonna get very minimal benefit from it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think this card, the value of this card really depends on how much you fear the curse tokens that you're adding to the bag with cards like Faustian Bargain. And based on our I think our shared experience with the curse tokens so far, they're not as impactful as they may seem at first. If you've only added a couple of curse tokens to the bag, um, the odds of drawing them are still quite low. So playing this card, you're basically playing it for a wild skill icon and hoping that you draw a curse token, which is not the type of play I really want to be making. And I think if you're going to spend one experience point on a card like this, you could pick up the Covenant that we will look at a little bit later in this review for 2 XP, which is a permanent that just sits on the table and lets you, I believe it's cancel a token instead of drawing it each turn. So rather than playing sort of this transient effect, you have basically a permanent way of dealing with the curse tokens if you're really concerned about them.
So, what would you rate this card, Man from Lang?
I'm gonna give it an elder thing. I just don't really see myself playing this card. I can see its value in say if you're playing with maybe Amanda Sharp or Practice Makes Perfect. That sort of synergy raises the value of this card, and Amanda certainly has a way of adding a lot of curse tokens to the bag, so having that a little bit of extra protection if you're, say, trying to go for the Cryptic Grimoire or something like that, and you're really loading up the bag with curse tokens, then something like this would come in handy. But I think if you're just dabbling in with the curse mechanic, you've added a couple copies of maybe Deep Knowledge or Faustian Bargain to your deck, I don't think I would spend the 1 experience point in order to mitigate them. It's just not, there's just not enough value there for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think I'd give it an elder thing too. Like you said, I think the saving grace for this card is its practice trait and that it interacts favorably with things like Practice Makes Perfect and Amanda Sharp. Yeah, again, we just haven't really seen enough of a reason to want to include cards that safeguard you against curse tokens, really. And the fact that this kind of doesn't really affect bless tokens all that much is also fine, I guess. But yeah, I'm not big on this card. Like you said, I think your experience is spent better elsewhere.
Yeah, I guess the one advantage that this has is that it treats each curse token you draw. So in those very rare cases, I think where you draw multiple curse tokens, then this pays off for you because each of those is considered to be a +1 instead of say you get 2 -2s, instead you're getting 2 +1s, which is nice. Mm-hmm. But I mean, in our Iron Man, how many times did we draw multiple curse tokens? It was very
once or twice. Yeah, it was very
over the entire campaign. It might have happened once or twice. So paying 1 experience point for a card to ward against those particular situations, I don't think is worth it, especially when you can pick up the Covenant for slightly more. That is going to do it for the rogue cards in Into Deep. Mixed bag here for rogues. They get a very nice card in Breaking and Entering. I think that's going to see a ton of play in quite a few different investigators. Adding your agility skill value for investigations is always good, and then getting an automatic evade against an enemy is nice, and then you combine that with investigators like Trish and Rita who can tack on even more benefit to this. That's very nice. Skeptic, again, it really depends on if you're terrified of curse tokens, then you can pick up this card, but if you're not, well, you're probably fine not buying it.
Yeah, like you said, Breaking and Entering is a great card. It's gonna definitely see play in a lot of decks, and Skeptic is just. I just don't think there is really any reason uh, to want to spend experience on it. I just don't think it provides enough of a benefit consistently.
That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I am also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.